Okay, got it. So we'll start all over again. Hello, welcome to today's class. And today we're going to be talking about grid editing and properties panel. So for the grid editing, we're just going to go over the faster way or faster ways to actually utilize some of our editing commands or to actually access our editing command. And for that, I'm going to use this object to actually do that practice. Okay, so let's get started. If you highlight any of these objects right here, you will see some things around it. Like we have this thing that looks like a square right here, and we have something that looks like a rectangle right here. And these are called grips, as in G-R-I-P, grips. Yes, with this you can actually edit your object fast. It's a faster way to access some of the editing commands we have here, like move, rotate, stretch, and scale, even mirror. Yeah, you can get them with the grip command, especially this endpoint grip. And we have the midpoint grid, like so. This particular one, these are called the midpoint grids. You can see them there also. These are called the midpoint grids. And with the midpoint grids, you can access things like the arc tool, and you can also stretch. You can add vertices to your objects. So let's just get started. If I decide to click on endpoint grid, I'll just hover. If I hover around it to bring up another dialog menu where you can ask me to choose any of these. But if I don't want any of these, I can just click on it. If I just click on this, it will give me so many other options. Like you see, the first one is stretch, like you see here, stretch. So you can see specify stretch point. Specify stretch point. That means where I want to stretch it towards. I can decide to stretch it to this point and just leave it there. You see, I've created an object that looks like, okay, this is a perspective, but it's not complete yet until I do something like this. Let's take it down here. Put that. And it will look like, okay, it's a perspective view of something, of an object, which is truly not correct in this case. So that's it for the stretch grip. So let's go back. I have to undo that and continue. Now, if I highlight it to show the grip and then click on any of the endpoints, I can stretch, as you see, like so. If I don't want to stretch, if I want to go to the next command, which is copy, which is move rather, I can just tap on the space bar on my keyboard and it goes to the next command. And the next command is move. As you can see, it just changed to move here, and it's telling you to specify move points or change base point. If I go to change base point, I'll have to, if I click on this, that means I'm changing the base point. That means I'll have to select the base point where I want to move it from. I can choose here, I can choose the center as a base point and then move it. Now, if I don't want to move this object and I just want to copy it, I can just come down here instead of base points. I've just explained base points. I can just come down here and click on copy. If I click on copy, it means I am going to make duplicates of this particular object, like so. So if I click here to drop, that will be my first copy. I'll just turn on the orthogonal restriction to make it straight, so it will be aligned. I'll click here to drop first one, second one, and so on. Like so. So now I can undo it, and it will go back just like I did the copy, and that, and that. So we understand up to this point. We understand, please use the chat box, say yes, yes, yes. You know, I like getting feedback. If you understand, please use the chat box, say yes. So continue. I've talked about the move, I've talked about the stretch, I've talked about the copy. So you understand up to this point, this is the chat box. So yes, okay, so people understand. Okay, that means we're good to go. So we'll continue with the same grid editing. We'll continue with the same grid editing. Now I'll click on it again, the same point. And the first one is stretch. Of course, orthogonal restriction is on, that's why it's like this. So I can only go vertical and horizontally. And I'll hit my space bar to go to the next command, which is move. As you can see, I can only move it vertically or horizontally. Yes, I can only move it vertically or horizontally, like so. Okay, because the orthogonal restriction is on. Now I'll hit space bar to go to the next one, which is rotate. Yes, so I'm trying to rotate this object like so. As you can see, it's going about the 4 quadrants. Okay, and it is being rotated as it goes like so. So let's say I want to rotate freely. I'll just come here and turn off my orthogonal restriction like so. Turn it off, and as you can see, I can rotate freely in all axes. I can rotate freely about that point, rather not in all axes. I can rotate freely about that base point. I can decide to change my base point, like I said before, and say, okay, I want to rotate from the center. I want to rotate from the center of this. Okay, and that is it. Then I decide to keep it this way. So we have it like so. And the next one, I'll click again, and then click here. I'll hit spacebar because the first one is stretch, like you know, I don't want to stretch. I don't want to move also. I don't want to rotate. Rather, I want to mirror it. So I go next. The next one is scale, rather. Let me scale it first before I go to mirror. Like we know about scaling, I talked about scaling while doing editing commands. And this is the same thing as that. So you can scale any number less than 0 will reduce its size. Any number less than 1, rather, will reduce the size. Any number greater than 1 will increase the size. So you all know that. I won't really stress much on that. So you see, I just scaled it accordingly. So I'll undo this. I'll do this to bring it normal. So I'll go to the next one right there, which is click. Let's click to find out. I'll hit the space bar once. This one will move it. I don't want to move it. Hit the space bar again. This one will actually rotate it. I don't want to rotate it. Hit the space bar again. The next option is to scale, which I just discussed about. I don't want to scale it. I go to the next one, which is the mirror. Now it's asking me to select second point of mirror. Now, for the second point of mirror, I can decide to select this point and it will mirror it accordingly. Taking this point as my first mirror line, first point of mirror line, and the second point of mirror line to be selected. So if I select this, it will ask me if, okay, see, it did a mirror. It copied it from this other side and brought it here. So let's go back and redo that mirror. Highlight again. Click here and decide to mirror. I don't want to scale, I want to mirror. Now, if I select my mirror line, it will just bring it here. If I select this way, to mirror it this way accordingly. We all know how the mirror works, so I won't really stress much on that. Of course, I can change the base point. I can decide not to mirror from here. I can decide to mirror from another aspect. So that is it about the mirror. And that is it for the endpoint grid, right? So just did the endpoint grid. Then go back, continue. It will just be moving around those 5, right? Stretch, move, rotate, scale, and mirror. Those 5 editing options. If we keep going, it will just be going as a loop amongst those 5 editing options. And we don't want to do that all day. So we're going to talk about the midpoint grid. Now let me highlight this. With the midpoint grid, if I just click on this, not hovering around it will bring out this box, will bring out this dialog menu right here. I did not click, I just hovered around it, and it brings up this dialog menu. And that can help you, of course, stretch, add vertex, and all that. And decide to add a vertex and then keep it here. Okay, so that is it. I've added one other vertex. As you can see, this object is now a complex object, like so. I can decide to make it like this and trace this line and keep it right here. Okay, so that is it for the adding of vertexes. That can help you. You can do that with the aid of middle grip. With the aid of the middle grip. And now I want to go over to the next one, which is convert to arc. So if you click on convert to arc, of course, you might have guessed, to convert this to an arc. And you can adjust like so. And decide to put the radius of the arc on that box. And say, okay, I want the radius of this arc to be 5. Enter. And you have it like so. So you have a complex shape that looks like letter R. I don't know. A short dot. This. Like this. And then, so it's more complex. Yeah? So we have that shape. So now we'll talk about how to use these grips to edit our objects. Now, with this center grip, if you want to edit this object further, you can just click to stretch. Just click to stretch. And you can stretch like so. You can stretch like so, and let's drop it here. And you have it that way. So you see, if you understand up to this point, please use the chat box. Use the chat box. If you understand up to this point, please use the chat box. Say yes, yes, yes. Okay, so we all understand this. It's not grid, it's grip, 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 grip. It's grip. It's grip, not grid. As in GRIP, I'm going to drop that. It's grip, not grid. Okay, now to activate it, you don't need to do any much thing to activate this. You just have to highlight it. That's how you activate. Is it really activate? No. That's how you get the option to use the grip command. So you just highlight it, and if you want to activate any of these points, just click on it. And you see, just like so. If you want to go to the next command, use the space bar. You go to the next command, like where the first one was stretch, the second one is move, the third one is rotate, and so we go to scale and then mirror. If that is clear, please use the chat box. If John Paul, you asked a question, so if that is clear, please use the chat box. If that is clear, please use the chat box. Okay, now we can proceed. Now let's go to, let me draw a line. I want to explain something also with the grip editing. F8. Okay. Now, if I have this line highlighted, like so, I can actually increase the length of this line with this. Click on this, drag to wherever you want, or you can add the increments there, let's say 15. Enter. And we have it like so. So if I check the properties panel, I check here, see this line should be, okay, the previous line, I did not measure the previous line. I would have known what it is entirely. So let's do it again. I click on my first point and had 25. Now end it. I'll move it. I can move this line using the grid editing also. Click on the midpoint. Since it's not a polyline, I can move it. But if it's a polyline, let's see what will happen. I click my first point, second point, 25. So it should be the same. Highlight it. Now you see, for the polyline, it creates this rectangular grid, while the line 2 creates a square grid. And this square grid can only move this item, while the endpoints will stretch. The midpoint of the square grid, if the square grid is at the midpoint, it will only move the item or the object. But if it's at the endpoint, it will stretch it for the line 2. But let's see the polyline. The midpoint will also move it, and the endpoint will stretch it. But if you hover around this midpoint, you will see you can add all these other things to it. Add vertices, and you do this. Let me turn off my orthogonal restriction, so we can do this. And you see it also has this. Convert to arc and bring it down. And this, I won't convert this to arc. I love this shape. I'm just going to bring this way. Keep it like so. So you see, we have it there. If you understand up to this point, please use the chat box. We're moving over to the properties panel. And like I said, today's class will be very quick and direct. Okay, I can see your response. Oh, yeah, cheesy. Okay. Lidion, Chinagorom, John Paul. Okay, just 3. Okay, 4. Wow. Okay, we actually formed. Okay, no problem. And let's continue then. Now, moving on, we're going to be talking about the properties panel. And to do that, I am just going to erase these objects because I don't think I'll be needing them. I might, but let me just erase them so I create something new. For this, let me just turn off the grid. And I'll make some circles of, say, 10 units. I'll make a rectangle like so. Not too big. Okay. So I can do 20, 10. 20, tab, 10. Enter. Okay, I have that. I'm going to move this closer to this. Anyway, let's put that there. Then I'm going to create an arc. This is a 3-point arc, right? So I'm going to do this, this, and this. So I have this. Now let's go to the properties panel and talk about it. With the properties panel, you can actually edit the properties of your objects. Now, some of these properties, we'll talk about the layers in our next class and how to manage your drawings. But for these properties, you can do some major tasks that are here. And of course, you can access that quickly. So now, for the first one, right there, you can see it doesn't have any selection. So it's showing no selection because no object is being selected. But if I select this object and go over to the properties panel, you see a circle is being selected. Now there is something here, toggle value of PCAD. What PCAD does, it helps you select multiple items at once. So if I click this and I try to select this item, you see this one is being deselected. And I try to select this other item, this one is being deselected. That is because I just turned that PCAD off. So let me go back there and turn it on. what's happening. Okay, so I will just have to, well, some of you may not know where this property panel is. Let me bring it out. Hide. I don't want to do auto hide. I want to drag it out of this place. Okay, so it's right here, close to us. You can easily work with it. You can drag it out like so. And if you don't see these property panels in your drawing area, like we just have we don't have it here, we don't have it anywhere. If I just do Control 1, I think I can. Hello, can you hear me? If you can hear me, please use the chat box. Okay. Sorry for that break. So let's say we can't find properties panel right here. With Control 1, you can actually bring out your properties panel like so, and you will have your properties panel displayed on your screen. So you just have to arrange it the way you want. You can, from the settings right here, you can arrange it the way you want. Anchor to left, anchor to right, auto hide, transparency. Of course, you can increase and reduce the transparency of the properties panel. Let's say you want, how transparent should this palette be? This is solid, so reduce it, and you can see the preview on your screen to be like this. So rollover, how transparent should the palette be on mouse rollover? So if you want it to be very solid, you keep it there. If you want it to be like this, you can also go back, click to preview, you click, you see there. Once you click here, right, you release. Once you apply these settings to all palettes, if you want to apply these settings to all palettes, you just click here, then disable all window transparency global. You click on this one. So all your windows transparency will be disabled. So I don't want any of these settings, so I'm just going to close this and leave it the way it is. So now I go back and dock it, anchor to the left. If you wanted to use the settings, that's what you would do. You anchor it to the left. And if you want it to auto hide, you come here. This is the auto hide button right here. Please, if you understand, use the chat box. This is the auto hide button. And you can see like so, it's hidden until I hover around this point. That's when it comes out. So remember, Control 1 activates your properties panel, and there are some ways you can actually set it to suit whatever you want to be doing and how you want to be doing it. So if you understand to this point, please use the chat box. Chinagorum understands. John Paul, yes. Cheesy, yes. Okay, okay. Yes, we're moving. So this class will be big. So Two is not here for now. Okay, let's go over to the properties panel again. Bring this out. I want to make it constant, so the auto hide option is turned off. We did something before where we did the CAD. That means if I select one item, the other item will be deselected, and I don't want that. I like to select multiple items. I like to select multiple items by this single click. So now let's go and turn this back. So now the CAD value, I turn that back. So now I can select multiple items like so. Okay. So then we have it. I like this option. You can set it to be the other way if you want. For me, I prefer this. Now let's go over to the general part of the properties panel. Now this one here works on the properties. Let me select this, the circle. Of course, you see the circle selected. Let me go over and select the arc. To show you that these people have taking their time to actually program these things to identify each of the objects. So I'll go to the rectangle, and you can see like so. it's been a polyline. So now, selecting the circle, let's edit some properties. The color, first of all, the color, that's the first property you can edit. So now, if you want to edit the color, just first of all, you have to select this. And then when you select it, you see a drop-down arrow. Click on the drop-down arrow. You can select any of this color like so. If you move around it, you see it change on your drawing area. So you can select any of them you like so. So if you don't want to select any of them this way, or you want more, you can click on this select color and it will give you another option. By the way, you can also change your colors from this angle right here. If you understand, please use the chat box. Say yes, 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 I understand. If you understand, please use the chat box. Say yes. Okay, Cheesy understands. Chinagoram understands. Celeste of the detail. Okay. Wow. Okay, yeah, we're moving. Now, you can select, you can edit the color right here also. But I'm going to use the property panel because this is what we're talking about, right? So I'll select color. To bring up a dialog box, dialog menu for color editing. So this is it. It was on my second screen. Let's drag it here. Okay, now with this, you can actually select a color. Of course, if you go around, it won't show, it won't give you a preview. But with this, you can select a color, and once you select and press OK, let's say in this case, I go to, okay, I think Chinago would like pink. So I'll go right here. Is that pink? Looks like magenta. Let's look at this way. I don't know. Chinago might sue me. Okay, I'll say okay right here. Okay, so you see, after saying okay, we have it selected and the color is there. So if I like this, you see, the property shows that, okay, this thing is color 210 accordingly. I'll go back, I click on that, I go to select color to explain some other features of this. Now we have the index color, and we have true colors, and we have color blocks. Color books, rather. Color books is not loading up. Whoa. The color books is not loading up. Can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, please say yes. If you can see my screen, please say yes. Use the chat box. John Paul can see my screen. Chinagon can see my screen. Chizi Amadi can see my screen. Okay, because I had one issue just now, and okay, it's been resolved. So now these are the color books. You can decide any of the colors you want, choose the colors accordingly, and then get a good color or a befitting color to fit the object you want, and say okay. If I say okay now, you see it right there. It's been activated, and that's it for the color books. It's as simple as that. Of course, you see the color being added. So now that's not what I want. I go back and I say, let me talk about the true colors. If you notice, we have the hue, we have saturation, and we have luminance. And that's why it's called HSL, the color model right here. It's called HSL, and we have RGB. Let me talk about the HSL first. So the H stands for hue, the S stands for saturation, and L, of course, luminance. Now, if I select this part, let me say I select this part, and the hue simply is shade, the shade of the color. The hue here is talking about the shade of that particular color. So if I reduce it, you see the shade will be reduced. If I increase it, of course, it will be increased like so. That is it. So it increased the hue of this particular color, as we can see like so. Now the next one is the saturation. The saturation is talking about the purity of this color. Yes, saturation talks about the purity of this color. So we can increase and reduce the purity of this particular color, like so. As you can see, it's been affected by that. Can increase and reduce the purity of this color. And the next one is luminance. Of course, we know when you want to illuminate something, it talks about the brightness of that color. So increasing and reducing this will actually increase and reduce the brightness of this color. If you understand, please use the chat box, say yes. If you're getting value, you can type value using the chat box. Oh, wow, John Paul, no. Okay. If you're getting value, please. Wow, Chinagrom is really getting value. Thank you. John Paul. Okay, John Paul, please, you can type your question using the chat box. I will respond to that. Wow, value but no understanding. Okay, I'll give you a few moments to actually ask your question. John Paul, please, you can unmute yourself. Okay, the luminance. Okay, let me just explain it. Now, the luminance, first of all, we have hue. Hue is talking about the shade of that color. This hue is talking about the shade of this color. Let's say we select this as our color. Let's say we select this as our color, and we go to hue, and we go this way. You see the hue actually changes the shade of this color. And the next one is saturation. The saturation is talking about the purity of that color. Yes, it talks about the purity of that color. If I increase and reduce this, it will either increase or reduce the purity of the color. And the next one after saturation is luminance. Luminance simply means brightness. So it's talking about how bright or dim this color will be. So if I increase or reduce this, of course, as you may have seen, it will increase or reduce the brightness of this color. Do you understand up to this point? If you understand, please use the chat box. Say yes. Okay. Okay. Now, that's good. That's good. You understand. Okay. Having said that, let's go over to the next color model, which is RGB. Of course, we all know what this is. It stands for red, green, and blue. Let's say we selected one of the colors here. Let me go back to this color. Select this color. I've already messed up with some of these things, so I'll just adjust it. Okay, like so. Of course, I'm not going to save this, so it won't disturb my settings. And we have the luminance, and this just sets to this value. Let me make it pure. Come back a little bit. Yeah. The hue, the shade, I need the shade to be dominant. No, not this way. Go the other way. I need it this way. Yeah. So I'll go to RGB now. Now, see, RGB simply stands for red, green, and blue. It's how you want to set your color according to the parameters given there. Of course, because it's red, the red should be more dominant. If I want to make it a little bit like orange, I can come here and do this. So you see, it changes this. Because I increase the green, you can see the green color here. Because I increase the green. If I reduce this part, it will go back to the red. Okay. Okay. So we have it like so. I can decide to push it back, and we have green color. See what's happening right there? But this time around, I'll go back. And the blue, of course. If I increase the blue, you will see it here. And I reduce the green, of course, you see the blue here. Like so. If you understand this part, please use the chat box, say yes. If you're getting value, you can type value as we continue. Okay, cheesy. Yeah. Okay, okay. It's not going. Okay, wow. Okay, now let's continue. So I'm just going to say that is all for the color section of that properties panel, and we're done with that. So we're going to the next one, which is layer. The layer, we're not going to be talking about layer today. There will be a special class for layers and how to manage your drawings. To come under drawing management, and this is where we'll talk about the layer. So we're just going to skip the layer for now, and we'll go to the next one, which talks about line type. So we're going to be talking about line type. So for now, let's click on this and drop it down. We're dropping it down. So we want to select the type of line we will use. Of course, you see even here, you see the color, you can set the color to be any of these ones. And right here also, you can set this to be by layer, by block, or continuous. So now this continuous line is the one that is preset. We want to load other lines, other type of lines. How do we load other type of lines? If you come right here, you can see this part, you come right here and click on this, which is the line type. Click on this, drop it down. You see something like continuous, just like we have here, but we don't want continuous. We want another type of line. So how do we do that? We go to order and click on order to load other type of lines. Now we have to load other type of lines, like you see right here. So you can see here it's telling you show all line types. You can decide to show all used line types. That means the line types that are being used on this particular document, on this drawing. So that's not what we want. We want it to show all line types. And we want to load new line types. And now you can see different line types that are very fanciful. You might want to use any of these zigzag, tracks, phantom, X2, phantom 2, phantom, and all that. So we don't want any of this. I want to use a simple line, and it is called ISO dash. No, let me use ISO dash space. I click on this, and I click OK. And you see it's been loaded here. If you understand this process up to this point, please, you can type understand. If you don't understand up to this point, please simply say no. If you understand up to this point, please type understand. If you don't, say no. Okay. Yes, you understand, okay. All right, so now we all understood up to this point. So now, since we've loaded it to this dialog menu, we're going to load it to our drawing. How do we do that? Just click on this dash and click OK. Once you click OK, you see that we have it here. Go to line type. Now from here, we can see it right here. And click to activate it. So this means that this line type is being activated to any, this is a global setting, and I'm going to undo that because that's not what I want. It means that if I click on this and then start drawing my line, you see that. And that is what I don't want. I don't want it to be a global setting. Globally, I want it to be the default one, which is by layer. Of Of course, we've done that. It looks like a track road. Yes. Okay. It looks like a track road, so I'm just going to complete that. Of course, you can use this to, let me mirror it. Mirror on the wall. Move the fence of the wall. Go this way and that way. Highway. Yes, sir. We have it like so. Okay, now that was on a lighter note. Now let's say I want to edit the properties of this. I want it to be ISO dash. I just highlight this. And I come here. See, the line is continuous. Line type continuous. I want the ISO dash line. So I come here and I click this. Of course, you can see. And we don't have much of it because the line type scale is equals to 1. And that particular circle, the radius is so small that you won't notice it. But if I increase the radius, it becomes more visible. If you understand up to this point, please say yes. If you understand up to this point, please say yes. We're about rounding up. If you understand up to this point, please say yes. Okay, someone is saying yes. Chinagon is saying yes. Okay, now let's continue. So now you see we've edited this, which is the line type of this circle, and we'll go to the next item. Before we go to the next item, let's do some tweaking. Let's say this circle is as small as it was before now, and you want to make that same line type visible to this particular circle, this particular object. Remember, if you want to make it a global setting, do not select any object. Just edit the properties. And whenever you draw and you make a new drawing or you draw a new object, it will be activated to that object. But if you want to make it a setting to a particular object, make sure the object is highlighted. If you understand this part, please say yes. And while I continue. Okay, Chiziyama says yes. Okay, we're good to go. So now, okay, John Paul, you said no. Wow. Type the part you're having challenges with, just type it, and I will come to that. Okay, now, for example, you're talking about the global settings, yeah? For example, we have this. There's no line selected now. If I make any changes to these properties while no object is being selected, I just make changes. Let's say I want this color to be, I want it to be red. I want this line type to be ACAD ISO and ACAD ISO dash lines. And I come here and I try to make a new drawing. You notice that any drawing I make, whatever I try to do, it will take the global setting. This is what it means by global setting, because I did not select any item before editing that command, before editing the properties rather. I did not select any item or object before editing the properties. And if I don't select any object, that means I am setting it to be globally, not like global to the world, but it means that I'm setting it globally on this particular drawing. So whenever I'm trying to create a new object or using any of the draw tools to draw any new shape, that property will be attributed to any new shape drawn. If you understand this, please use the chat box. Say yes. Okay, now we can go on. So now I'm going to undo that because that was on the lighter note, just to make someone understand. I'm going to edit this. So we're good to go. Now, you can see, like I was saying, we have this right here, and it's not really that visible. It just looks like it looks like two arcs drawn, and we want to make it look like that ACAD ISO. We can come and change the line type scale. This is the line type, and the next one is the line type scale. Because this object is being highlighted, that means if I edit this line type scale, it will actually be attributed to this particular object, which is the circle in this case. If you understand, please say yes, while I'm still going to explain for that anyway. Okay, we can go on. Okay, now let's edit this. Now we want it to look a little bit like what we want it to look like. So I'm going to reduce this line type scale to, let's say, 0.3. You know, any number less than 1 reduces it, any number greater than 1 increases it. So now I'm just going to do 0.3 and say, okay. As you can see, like, so see what happens here. It's been edited to something that really shows that, okay, this is ACAD ISO dash line. That is it for the line type scale. So the line type scale, you can set it 2 ways. You can make it global by just typing LT scale. LT scale. Now the LT scale is the same thing as line type. The LT there simply means line type. If you type LT scale and say enter, you can edit or change the line type scale globally. Of course, you've understood what global means in this case. So we can change it to, since we're making smaller drawings, we can make it to 0.25 and say enter. Since it's 0.25, here you see every other drawings are changed. It's reduced the scale of all these other drawings. If you saw it and if you understand it, this is the chat box, say understood. 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 This is the chat box, say understood. Okay, they understand. Now we continue. Over to the next one, we'll talk about line type. You were focusing on the circle. It's the same thing. It just made the changes to the circle and all other objects. So it's the same thing. If you do it globally, it goes global, like all the objects will be affected. If you do it, if you select an object before changing the line type scale, it will actually change it to that particular object. John Paul, if you understand what I just said, please say understood. Okay, good. We're continuing now. We're going to the next one. After line type, we did line type scale. And after line type scale, we're going to be working on the line weight. Yes, the line needs to gain weight. No, it needs to look healthy. Yeah, it needs to gain weight and look healthy. So now we're going to be editing the properties of this line. Now we're going to focus on the weight, because this line looks so thin and it's like something that does not eat well. Okay, so now we're going to edit the line weight of this particular line so it will be more, robust and dominant. So let's increase the line weight of this. Let's give this line a lot of food to eat. So line weight, this, and I come here. Of course, you see the first one is by layer, the next one should be by block. I don't want that. I want a line weight that is, something. So I'm going to use 0.7 in this case. Yes, I did that, but nothing happened. Yeah, nothing happened. And the reason why nothing happened is because we did not turn on the line weight feature in our status bar toggle. If you're confused what status bar toggle is, this is your status bar toggle right here. This toggle screen that you're seeing here, this is your status bar toggle. And we're going to turn on the line weight. And of course, we have the line weight right here. If I turn it on, we'll see the line will be robust. And of course, it looks like something that is well fed. Okay, so we have that. And I'm going to make this other line. Look like this line. How do I do that? There are several ways. I can just come here, highlight it, and edit the line weight, which I don't want to do. And the next one to do is I can come to match properties. What match properties does is that it copies the properties of one object and extend it to another selected object. So I'm just going to click on match properties and focus on the command prompts, which is asking me, okay, select source object. What it's asking me to select in this case is, where do you want to copy these properties from? So now I want to copy these properties from this fed overfed man. I want to select this one first. And then the next prompt there is select destination object. What does it mean? Where you want to drop these properties, you just copy. So I want to drop it here to make this guy fair. Okay, once I'm done and I'm satisfied, I just click OK or enter. Scroll off that command, and like so, as you can see, I just copy the properties from one object to another. If you understand this part, please use the chat box, say yes, 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 or understood. Anyone, your choice. Say yes, say understood. Okay, Chizamadi says no. Okay, don't worry. Just mute your mic. Just I'll repeat it. I will repeat it. I will repeat it. I will repeat these match properties so you'll be clear. And what the match properties does, like I said, it copies the properties of one particular object and transfers it to another. It's just like you're doing gene transplant. I'm going to copy the genes of this particular. Okay, in this case, I want to copy the gene of this particular object, this circle we have here. I want to copy the properties of this circle. Let me take it closer to the object I want to copy it to. I want to copy the gene of this circle and transplant that gene to this rectangle. So although this is a rectangle, the rectangle will have properties of this circle. If you understand what I just explained, Cheesy, please use the chat box. If you understand what I just explained, okay, you understood what I just explained. So since you understand what I just explained, I'm going to do this ASAP. Now I'm going to come here, match properties, and the first question there, or the first prompt is asking me, select source object. Now for you to transplant something, you need a donor, right? Now this circle is the donor in this case. Now the circle is donating its gene, and I'm going to take the gene from the donor and transplant it to the recipient. Now, I'm going to select this as the donor, which is the source object, according to AutoCAD. And then the next one is select destination object. The destination object here is talking about the recipient, like the person in need of this gene. So I'm going to transfer this gene to this rectangle, like so. And once I'm satisfied, I hit enter. And I'm good. If you understand this, please use the chat box, say understood. Understood, Cheesy. Please use the chat box, say understood. If you understand, actually. Oh, that's fine, that's fine, that's very nice. Okay, now let's continue. So now we now understand what the match properties does. It doesn't do anything further than that, just to copy, just to collect organs or genes or anything, but that's on the lighter note. Actually, it just copies the properties of one object and transfer or transplants that property to another object. So that is it for the match properties. Now let's continue what we're doing here. We talked about line weights, which gave us this line weight. I'm just going to turn that off because it's really affecting me. Okay, I'll turn that off. And then after line weights, we have another one, transparency. Of course, there's no object selected here, and I am going to select an object so we can work with it. There's no object selected here. Which of the object? Okay, the arc. I've not talked about the arc. Wow, I always forget the arc. Okay, so I'm just going to move this a little. Let me just move this right here and keep it here. Okay, now let's talk about the arc. The arc does not have any properties, so I'm just going to load another kind of line, another type of line to make it look cool, right? So I'll come here, select line type, and load another type of line just to re-emphasize how to load it. Now we're going to load it. I'm going to load another type of line. This time I'm going to use which one am I going to use? I'm going to use this center. Okay, there are other types. No? Let me use the one that has some, yeah, zigzag. I'll use this one. I'll load it. And then I'll select this one and say, okay. Yes, so we have it that way. By zooming, that's on the blue box, right? Come here. No line type. I select this. I select like so. So we have the arc looking zigzag. Yeah, it looks like the hair of some people. So I'm just going to leave that way. And now we're going to edit the transparency of this zigzag line. Let me make the color a little bit of red. Yes. I want to make this a little bit of red. So I'll come here, click on color, I select red. Of course, you can do that from this place right there. Select color, and then select red in this case. Just something that looks nice. Some people's hair look like this. So we leave it like this. Yes. So now we have the arc is now a zigzag arc. Wow, I like that zigzag arc. So now we're going to edit the transparency of this arc. How do we do that? We just come here over to the transparency option, and we drop down this. Oh my God, something happened here that I don't want to happen. Something happened there. Come here, click on transparency, and something is happening. Of course, that's an error. So I'm going to draw something else. Something is happening to this, and I don't know why. So we're just going to skip that for now. Maybe when we're talking about the layers, we'll talk about that. But I don't know why that is happening. Of course, you can increase and reduce the transparency this way. Of course, you can increase and reduce the transparency this way. So there was something happening to it. I think I get it now. So if we highlight this, we come over to not here, come over to this part right here, the properties, drop it down. It was interfering with something here, so it wasn't really working. So we can come here and increase the transparency, of course, like so. So if we have it like so, you see it's now a little bit transparent. Not as solid as it were. Let me zoom in so you can see it. And I'll highlight this green. So we'll come to transparency and increase it to 50. Now you see it's a little bit transparent, unlike before. So for you to see this, I will undo it and undo again. Undo. So you see this one is bright. I'll just copy this bright one. Copy this string. Press 1. So that is it. Now I will have to edit the properties of this one, not using this, because I see it has something that is affecting it in this case. If I just put 50, let's see how it works. Now you see. Since I did that, I changed the by layer and then typed 50 on that box. Let me undo that and redo it so you understand. Undo. We have it this way. Highlight any of them. Now come to that transparency option. Click on this box. Of course, it will highlight it. Now type how much transparency you want. If I want it 70, I type 70. So it will be 70% transparent. And now we have it like so. If you understand this part, please use the chat box, say understood. If you understand this part, please use the chat box, say understood. Chizamadi understands. Only 2. Okay, 3. We have 5 people. The host also can say understood if he understands. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, well, we continue. I believe the majority of the class understands. So now, let's go. Please, if you don't understand, you can say no. So draw my attention. Of course, of course, the host understands. So if the host understands, that means everybody understands. Okay, now let's continue. So we'll go over to the next one there that talks about thickness. I explained thickness in our previous class, and I said thickness is to the z-axis. Yes, but since we are in 2D mode, we are only using x and y axis. We've not started using the z-axis. Of course, in this mode, the z-axis is pointing towards us, and it's somewhere around here pointing towards us. Yes, pointing towards your screen. So now, for you to show the z-axis, of course, you can use the view cube, which is here. Just tap on any of the vertices and click on any of the vertices, and it will show the z-axis. Of course, you can see like so. We now have the z-axis, and you can see it in an isometric mode. Okay, so you can see it's in the southwest isometric mode. So now, if we want to increase thickness of any of these objects, I'll just undo to go back to our previous mode, undo, and you see, okay, we're in the XY plane right now. Now, I want to increase the thickness, not the line weight. Of course, the line weight is to the X and Y axis. Why the thickness is to the Z axis? If you understand, please say yes. The line weight is to the X and Y axis. Why the thickness is to the Z axis? Please, if you understand, say yes. Okay, I can see you. You understand. Okay, so now let's activate line weights. I will do that for this particular rectangle. I'll come to, sorry, thickness, not line weight. Thickness, not line weight. It's thickness and not line weight. So now for the thickness, I'll come to this particular place right here and insert a thickness. Let's say in this case, I want it to be 12. Enter. It's been activated. Of course, we won't see it because we are still using the XY plane. And like I said, the thickness is being activated towards Z axis. So now to make that visible, I'm just going to click on these vertices and it will take me to the southwest isometric projection. And we can see it's looking nice. Wow, I even love the view, like, and it's blue. I like the view. I don't know who else is liking this. If you like this view, please say yes, say like. If you like this view, use like. If you like this view, use like. Use the chat session, please. To me, it's beautiful. You can use beautiful if you want to. Wow, yeah, John Paul likes it, okay. Looks like a cage, wow. Okay, let's continue. So that is it. The thickness goes to the Z-axis as you've seen, as you may have seen. Okay, I should go over the thickness again. Okay, I will do that, I will do that, I will do that. Bear in mind, this thickness is not, well, we'll talk about that when we get to basic 3D, but let me go over the thickness again. Thickness is 0. Let me see. I like this. Thickness is 12. I'll make it 0. Still 12. From 2.5 from C. Okay, I think now, okay, we're even. So now let's talk about this. I said the line weight goes to the X and Y axis. Y, the thickness, goes towards the Z axis. And the Z axis is the axis pointing towards your screen. Like, as you're looking at your screen, the Z axis is the axis pointing towards you. Yes. While the X and Y axis, of course, you can see where they are pointing towards. The Z axis is actually pointing towards you. So now, to explain this further, I will have to reorient this screen. Let me reorient it and go this way. Now you can see that the Z axis is pointing upwards. Yes, it's pointing upwards. So if you orbit it a little bit and make it this way, you can see how it turns towards you, right? So that is it. That's the Z axis right there. Orbiting it. I talked about orbits during our first session. So if you want to know about orbiting, you can visit our YouTube channel for those videos. And you can see I'm orbiting it right now. So that is it. So now, having said that, let's go back to our XY plane. And I'm going to, okay, for it to be clearer, I'll just use the ISO and make it this way. Let's make it this way. It's currently at southwest isometric projection. So you're seeing it like this. Now I want to increase the thickness. Like I told you, the line weight is to the X and Y axis, while the thickness is to the Z axis. Let me copy this and I will activate a line weight. I'll activate a line weight to this object, to one of the objects, and then thickness to 1. So I'm going to copy the properties of this. Let me match. No, I won't copy the properties because it will affect some other things. Let me just come here and change the line weight. There's the line weight. In this case, I want to change it to 0.8. Okay, no. 1.4. And I activate line weight. Of course, it should be robust. Woo, it's too big. I'll change it back to something that is cool to look at. Okay, so I'll make it this way. Of course, as you can see, comparing this line weight to this one is thicker and it looks more fed. This one is well fed to some extent. Yeah, the average fed person. So you can see the line weight is to the X and Y plane. Let me go back to top view. You can see the line weight here, X and Y plane. Now let's go back to the isometric view, southwest isometric view. And you can also see the line weight. The line weight is not to the Z axis. It's only to the X and Y plane. Bear that in mind. Now for the thickness is towards the Z axis. So now I'm going to add a thickness to this. I'm just going to select it and then come to thickness and make a thickness of 10. And you see it there. Because it has a thickness of 10, you can see it extruded towards the Z axis, like so. If you understand this, please use the chat box. Say yes. If you like the view, you can say like. If it's beautiful, you can say beautiful according to what you want. Okay, Chizzy understands. Yeah, you understand. Okay, so we are good to go. Now let's go to the next one on the properties panel. Okay, it's beautiful, of course. Now let's go to the next one on the properties panel. And we're going to leave this visualization for now. Let's talk about the geometry, current, vertex, and all. So I'm going to do this and just select on this circle to explain that further. Looking at the geometry, I'm going to drop this because we're not going to do that for now. Now, the center X, center Y, and center V. This is talking about the coordinates of this particular object. It's talking about the coordinates of this particular object. If I keep my cursor here, of course, it snaps to it. and you want to compare this you're seeing right, sorry, this you're seeing right here. This is the coordinates. You want to compare these coordinates to what's here, the center X, center Y, and center B. I'll give you a moment to do that. And if it is the same, you can just write same, S-A-M-E. If it's the same, compare it first before you say anything you want to say. So maybe if it's not the same, you can say not same. Okay, it's the same. Now you can see it's the same. So it's trying to tell you that this is the coordinates of the center point of this circle. So the center point of this circle is situated at this particular coordinate. So if you want to start any other drawing at the center of this, you can just copy this out and then simply use absolute coordinate method and you got it. So that is it. So now the next one is talking about the radius of the circle. I want to increase the radius, of course. I want to increase it to 15. Enter. Of course, you might have seen it activated 15. And if it's 15, it means the diameter is equal to times 2 of the radius, which is 30. Now the circumference of the circle is like so. The area is also like so. Now the normal X is 0, normal Y is 0, and normal Z is 1. I'm going to leave this explanation for another day when I'm talking about property management, or when we'll be doing basic 3D. I'll be explaining that also. So now we're going to leave this, and that is it for our properties panel. I hope you enjoyed this class and you gained value from this class. If you do, please type value. You can type enjoy. You can type like if you like it. If you love it, just react. Wow, value, it is your value, okay? No other person got value. Oh, cheese, Madia. Yeah. I'm waiting. Enjoy and value. Wow, good. That's nice. Thank you. Okay. So that's nice. So having said this, the hosts, please, you can